Hey everybody, in today's video, I'm going to get this truck frame painted using Createx paints. This is going to be a big change. Make sure you stay tuned. Everybody, and welcome back. So, like I said in the beginning here, I'm going to get paint on this frame today, and a lot of other extra parts as well. So, I've got things prepped up and, ready to bring over to the booth. So the frame is ready to be painted. I've got things like the air scoop put onto a stick. I've got the rad already mounted, and I filled in some of the gaps here because I filled in the sides of the tanks. Make that look a little nicer. All the insides of the body need to be the same color. This here is only about halfway up, and I'm not worried about masking it because I'll mask off the blue when I do the interior color. Front, same thing. This here is all that light blue. I'll show you that in a second. Bottom half of this is all blue, so that there will be fine. Frame is all blue. The outer side of the firewall is the blue. The inside will be a different color, so I'm not worried about that. And the bottom side of the interior tub, and this here I believe is black. I'll double check that, but the bottom here and a bit of the upper portion of the firewall area is baby blue. So we'll get that all done up. So yeah, you saw in the last video I got all this piping and stuff done. It's ready to go. It's all supposed to be blue. So that's where that's at. Now the paint I'm going to be using Createx multi-things here. Createx Autoborn. This is the white sealer. I'm going to be using the Wicked Colors by Createx as well. And this here is the Daylight Blue. Okay. Now I also have their opaque Createx colors here, airbrush colors. This one's a little lighter. It's just the opaque sky blue. I may have to mix these two just to get the right color I'm looking for. I also have the 4013 reducer. You can use the 4011, and I'll explain these a little bit more, how to mix them and stuff. And I'm not sure yet. I've got the 4050 gloss. I may put a gloss coat on this. I'm not sure. I'll see what it looks like after I spray the color. Okay. So as far as the sealer goes, these Createx Autoborn sealers, they are great for your ground coat. Okay. You put these on, it seals anything like if you've done any primer spots or putty work or anything like that. This here will seal that stuff up, so it's not as hard to cover with your colors, right? Now, another thing with these sealers here, they are fully compatible with all of Createx paints, so they're good in that sense as well. They're designed for good coverage. They are a urethane acrylic, okay? So they cover quickly, they cover well. And like I said, they seal everything so that when you go to spray your color, you're not dealing with sink spots from any type of Bondo, any type of primer areas, things like that. It unifies the whole paint job. When spraying this stuff down, once it's mixed properly and everything like that, it adheres extremely well and helps to make the surface flat and smooth and get it ready for your base coat. Now, as far as prep for the surface, it is recommended a red Scotch pad or a 320 grit sandpaper. In a lot of cases, like something like this frame here, you're really not going to scuff it. So as long as it's well cleaned, a soap and water or a water-based or solvent-based final prep. Never use a water-based final wipe after you started putting this stuff on. You want to use a solvent-based final prep, okay? This here, if you're worried about it, this here has no problems. All their sealers have no problems filling a fine scratch like a red Scotch pad or the 320 grit. I wouldn't go any coarser than a 320. Now I'll be using an airbrush to spray these, and an airbrush you want no smaller than a 0.5 needle tip. Okay. Now if you're going up to, say, the minigun, you can use a 1.2, no problem. And your regular full-size guns, a 1.3 to a 1.4 needle tip, will work perfectly fine. For your full-size and mini guns, 4011, 4013 reducers is all you need, and a 10% by volume is what you need. Now, once you've mixed that with anything, always let it sit for 10-15 minutes to let the reducer completely amalgamate with the paints and whatever you're using. Now, for an airbrush, 4011, 4013, because you are going to be using a smaller tip, you should be looking more at a 15 to 20% reduction by volume. Again, leaving it 10 to 15 minutes to work itself together. Make sure it's all blended properly before you start spraying. Now, when you're applying this stuff here, make sure you're trying to get at least a 50% overlap. Medium, dry to wet medium coat is your best option for that there. Now, in between your coats, make sure you wait 10 to 15 minutes. Do not use heat to dry this. Air movement is best. So if you have a nice little fan that you can set up in front of it, if your paint booth draws enough air, just let it draw the air behind, like through it kind of thing. You can use the air from your airbrush or spray guns to help along the drying process, but do not use heat. Just let it air dry. In normal conditions, around 72 degrees Fahrenheit, which I believe is about 21 Celsius, with proper air movement, 10-15 minutes, this stuff should be completely dry, and make sure you let it dry in between each coat. Okay, you don't want to do a wet on wet at all. Okay, it's not designed for that, and you could have problems with it not curing properly if you're doing coats on top of coats and nothing is dry before your next coat. So make sure you let it dry. Now, if you've got any masking to do, and this goes for any of the colors, even the sealers, the colors, anything like that, if you have masking to do, you need to wait at least 30 minutes minimum before you can tape. An hour is better, but no less than 30 minutes, and then it's fully cured. Then you can actually put masking tape on it and have very little risk of anything peeling off, which you shouldn't have anything peel off, because this here is designed to adhere to hard surfaces, plastics, metals, aluminums, things like that, right? Porous surfaces are a whole different ballgame, and I'm not going to get into that right now. Now, if you do have to sand in between coats, like say you get some dust nibs or some fibers, something like that, if you have to sand in between your coats, you're very well able to after about 10 to 15 minutes of dry time. Recommended, use 600 to 800 dry. Do not wet sand. Again, wet sanding is going to make you have problems. This is a water-based paint. And it says right there, water-based. So make sure you don't wet sand, and if you do, use a final wipe or prep wipe type thing. It has to be a solvent-based. I can't stress that enough. You don't want to go screwing something up halfway through your paint and then having to strip it, and yeah, you're just looking to have a whole bad day go on. So yeah, that's the sealers and basics for the paint as well. I've got these here, the airbrush colors, the Wicked colors. We're going to see how good they are. I've never used them, but I know a lot of other people that do, and they have absolute magnificent results with them as long as you follow the instructions. And usually it's all right here on most of the bottles, you know, airbrush, 0.5 tip size, 40 to 50 psi. Sometimes you have to follow the manufacturer's recommendation for the spray gun that you are using. So double check on that. But 40 to 50 psi. So yeah, it says right here too, dry colors with air movement. So yeah, I mean, everything is pretty much right there. You know, there's some other stuff here. Like this one here, it says apply straight from bottle or thin with 4011. But they also have their 4013, which is what I'm going to be using. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it's right here. Now you can also go to the Createx site and you can get the data sheets and all this stuff, and it'll tell you exactly how. And you can also check out their YouTube channel. They have lots of information there as well for all of their products. So go check them out. Now, if you're using a candy, they suggest the 4050 on the candy, and it acts as like a carrier, you know, for the candy because it is a concentrate. And if I do a candy, I'll get into that more on that, but you don't need it for any of these paints here. So yeah, when you're doing the colors, especially with the airbrush, anywhere from 10 to 20% reducer. Again, wait your 10 to 15 minutes, let it all amalgamate properly, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to mix this stuff up, and I'm going to get to spraying this. And when I've got this all painted up, I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, guys. Well, I got it all painted up. So let me show you here. As you can see, it's sitting here. Now I've got some of the smaller stuff painted, ready to go. All right, we got the air intake, we got hood hinges, firewall, you know. Now I did put a gloss coat on it just to help protect it a little bit. Got the drive shaft painted up. We got some of the cab mounts painted up. Doesn't look too bad. And transmission crossmember mount. So, but here we've got the bottom half. The underneath is all nicely painted. And like I said, I gave it one coat of 4050 clear, you know, and yeah, it turned out pretty nice. That's only one coat. You get the hood done up. Now when it comes time to paint the outside, obviously I'm going to have to give it a scuff and a sand, get it prepped up, and I'll put a white sealer on top of this, seal everything up nicely, and I'll mask everything, you know, mask it all so that this doesn't get paint on it. Right, same thing with the rest of it. Now with the cab, now you see why I needed to paint the bottom of the interior tub, right? And you can kind of see right up in there. It's kind of an odd design, but you know, if it was me, I would have had, you know, this here. And as you can see, look at the gap here, you know, especially when it's set up properly. Look at the gap. Now you got to put a clear window piece here and line all this up, but the clear window piece goes in the body part, not in the cab part. Now, if you wanted to open these doors, that would be quite the interesting thing to do. Good thing I'm not doing it. But anyways, so yeah, I got the interior tub. You know, I didn't put much clear here. I just put it down mainly on the bottom here and where the firewall meets. Interior cab, you got all the side skirts and up to the firewall and windows, right? I'll mask that off, and the inside of this gets painted black. So once I mask that off, I can flat black this, and that'll be good. Now, I also did the radiator, so obviously I got to do the silver on here, both sides and the cap, things like that. But you won't see this pin because it goes inside the frame, right? So that's all good, and my sides turned out nice, right? And for the frame itself, here's what we got. It's pretty hard painting this type of frame, It takes quite a bit. There is spots that I did miss, but not too worried about it. You know, you can see a little bit of white in some spots. Whereas on this side here, down inside the frame, you can see it's a little white. Not too bad. I mean, you're not going to see it once the body and everything is on. You know, this is more for my pleasure, I guess, knowing that it's all painted. You know, and if I did this again, I think I would leave some stuff off and paint it that way, because, you know, the end of the tank there, I couldn't get very well. You know, just some stuff. You know, if there was some stuff left off, you'd be able to paint it a little easier. But yeah, so all the piping, now I can go along and detail up some of these pipe fittings and stuff like that. And we could probably get the engine put in. You know, I got to paint, you know, some flat black where some rubber boots are, some silver where the rams and stuff are, you know, tie rod ends, things like that. You know, put some wash on, make things a little greasy, dirty. It is a show truck, so it was probably kept fairly clean, but there is always some residual. And what I want to do is actually figure out how the hell they put fuel in this thing, because there's no fuel cap, there's no fuel filler door, nothing. So I want to figure out how they did it and see if I can make it look a little better. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, I'm going to end off this video here. Next go around, I'll end up putting a whole lot more stuff together. Oh wait, I also did other stuff. Almost forgot. I did some of the flat black. So we got seat bottoms. All right. Of course, we've got the seats. Zoom in. Seats turned out pretty good. I mean, I didn't go for perfect, but, you know, like I said, I'm trying to do it like my uncle would have done it, and he wouldn't have filled a lot of this stuff. He would have glued it, painted it, put it together. And that's part of the whole thing that I'm doing with this truck, is I'm paying homage to my Uncle Brian. You know, so that's one seat. Here's the other one. You know, but they turned out pretty good, or at least the paint did. Roll cage parts. You know, they're all flat black. Why they put them in chrome, I don't know when they tell you to paint them flat black, but they're flat black. So there's the top of that part of the roll cage. Here's the airbags for the seats, the air rides for the seats. And there's just little things like the radiator hose, the battery. Again, something you probably won't see because the box bed cover thing is on. Here's the shifter. So there's detail painting that needs to be done. The dash, you know, dash turned out pretty good. Now I have to double check. I don't know if there's decals for those gauges or not. If not, I'll be painting a lot of this all by hand. Steering column. All right. And the steering wheel. So now that's the end of that. So I'm going to close out the video here. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and hit that bell so you don't miss any videos. Also, if you want sneak peeks before videos come out, make sure to go down in the description. Give me a follow on my Instagram and my Facebook group, because I post pictures there. There's already some of this stuff on there. And there's a link down there for my PayPal Me. So if you want to donate and help out the channel a little bit, I'll put your name in the credits at the end of the video. Leave your comments down below. If you have any questions, leave them in the same place. But with all that being said, just do it your way. And until next time, later.